This movie is about the immortals, who has been living in this world, and everyone is unaware of it. Movie starts with everyone lying dead in the ground. Andy thinks might this be the end of them? Then, we see the scene taking place in streets of Morocco. Andy is walking and Booker meets her and tells her about their next mission and a meeting with a CIA agent later. They both go to the hotel where they meet their other two friends Joe and Nikki. They are a total of 4 in a team, are happy to meet each other. They talk about how they keep on living and don't see how they are making the world a better place. Next, we see Andy and Booker in the crowded place to meet Mr. Copley, CIA agent. Copley tells them about a hostage situation and tells them to work on it fast as the situation is critical. Nikki, from far, is pointing a sniper. Copley is already aware of it and waves. We the team has reached South Sudan on a mission. They locate a base camp where the hostages might be. Nikki shoots down 2 guys with a sniper. Booker cuts down the security wire to enter the base camp. Andy leads going in. Joe kills 2 men with a sword. Andy shots men moving forward. And they enter a room thinking it's where the hostages might be, as they enter to realize it was all a trap for them. Bunch of men rush in blazing, shooting all 4 down with heavy fire. Here we see the scene where the film begins. The 4 rises up from dead, and kills all the soldiers. Mr. Copley has planned this to test their infamous story, which he knows now are all true. And thus they are immortals. Copley is scared as he knows Andy and the team are going to hunt him down. The team is tensed with the situation, of other people knowing their secret and wants to find and kill Copley. We see the 4 in the train, sleeping, and suddenly, all 4 saw the same dream at once, about a Marine girl killed with a knife in action. They all describe what they saw. And Joe draws a picture of her. The 4 are surprised as how and why after more than 200 years, a new one becomes immortal, to which Nikki says, everything happens for a reason. They decide on a plan that Andy will go Afghanistan, to get the new one. And jumps from the train. The other 3 will go to France and look for Copley. The Marine girl rose from the dead. And all the Marines are shocked on what is happening with her. Niall wound is gone, remaining no scars. Her friends look her like she is a freak. Niall is scared and confused as what is going on. We see a sergeant come to Niall and tells her to pack her bags. She has been sent to Germany for further tests. She is unable to refuse sergeant's order. In shock, sits alone in a chair listening music for a moment. 2 Marines come looking for her. Andy sees her the very moment and attacks those 2 Marines, and knocks down Niall too. Next, we see Andy driving Niall in a Marine truck. Niall tries to escape. Andy shoots her in the face. Andy waits for Niall to rise from dead. Niall is in shock. Andy tells her she leads an army of immortals and Niall is the new one, and if she wants more answers, she needs to get back in the truck, and she does. Then we see them both getting in a smuggler's plane. Andy starts drinking and goes to sleep. Waking up tied with belts, Niall is pointing a gun to a pilot and scares him to land the plane. Andy smartly speaks in Russian, saying "play dead" to a pilot, and fires a blank. Niall is amazed and shocked, thinking pilot is dead, as she doesn't know Russian. Andy tells Niall to open her hand and she will fly the plane. As soon as Niall frees Andy, Niall is knocked down. Now Niall wants to fight back, and Andy plays along to check her capabilities. Andy breaks Niall's few bones in the fight. Niall is recovering fast and finally starts believing that it's all real. We see Andy and Niall reach France, where other team members are. Everybody meets Niall. They talk about when their immortalities occur. Booker got immortal in 1812 fighting with a Napoleon. Joe and Nikki, during the Crusades, fighting each other, and killed one another many times. Andy does not even know how long she has been living. Andy talked about a friend who was a warrior, and an immortal. One day his immortality came to an end and died. So, their days will come too. They all go to sleep, and Niall wakes up in terror from a nightmare. She talks about a woman locked in an iron coffin under the sea. The women kept drowning, and then coming back to life. Angry. But kept fighting. And drowning. The team knows about the woman in a sea. Her name is Quinn, and she was one of the first with Andy. Once while they were in England, Andy and Quinn got captured, accused of witchcraft. Quinn was put in an iron cage to separate the two, and thrown somewhere middle of the ocean. To this day they have not found where Quinn is. Over 500 years in a box. Somewhere deep in the ocean. Quinn is lost. Hearing this, Niall is upset and goes out. Andy follows to comfort her. Soldiers of Copley breaks in from the back, to capture them all. Hearing the sound, Andy and Niall rush in. See Booker shot and cut severely. Andy calls Booker to rise from dead and slaps emotionally. Booker wakes up hurting. Nikki and Joe are taken hostages. Booker says they threw a grenade, and he can't remember after that. Far in the van, Copley is looking from the soldier body cam. Andy rushes to free Nikki and Joe. Andy sees few soldiers and surprise attack them with a sword and a gun. One soldier put a knife in Andy's shoulder. She turns and cut the soldier in two and shoots others. More soldiers rush in but are no match to Andy. Copley, seeing this, leaves the spot to save himself, and took Nikki and Joe, who are unconscious and in one of his vans. Booker and Niall come out of the room after a loud blast. Niall is shocked to see dead bodies all over the place. Booker says, Andy has forgotten more ways to kill than the entire army will ever learn. We see Joe and Nikki wakes up in the van. They kiss each other and kills every soldier with them in the van. And wait for the doors to open calmly. Joe and Nikki are forcefully loaded up on a plane by other soldiers to take them to a pharmaceutical company, where Copley has made a deal to hand them over, so an immortal drug can be made out of experimenting on them. Here, we meet Stephen Merrick, who is the CEO of the pharmaceutical company. Merrick. Stephen, on meeting Joe and Nikki, stabs Joe to check for himself about the story and is joyful seeing Joe recover. Joe and Nikki are drugged unconscious and tied up. Back in the safe house, where Andy, Booker and Niall went after the incident. Booker starts looking for Copley using the satellites. Suddenly Andy realizes she is still bleeding. Nervous, Andy goes out for a walk alone. Andy walks into a drugstore. As she never had to be in a drugstore before, she takes her time to process what she needs. A girl at the billing counter sees her and wants to help, to which Andy agrees. Billing lady stitches up Andy. Andy thanks the lady and leaves. Andy returns to Booker and Niall. Booker found Copley outside London, so they leave for England. Reaching the destination, Booker rushes in to sweep the area. Niall has a change of heart and doesn't want to hurt anyone. When she still has time, she wants to spend it with her family. Hearing this, Andy gives her a pistol and tells her to take the car they came in. Andy goes in and Niall leaves. Booker asks where Niall is. Andy and Booker go in the house of Copley. Andy sees Copley and asks where Joe and Nikki are on a gunpoint. Suddenly Andy is shot in the abdomen by Booker. Booker ties Andy's arms. Andy is furious and resists. Andy asks why Booker, to which Booker says the pharma guys can end their suffering of endless living and make them dead. Andy cries and says, "Not like this, Booker." Seeing Andy still bleeding, Booker is now worried. Stephen walks in with his personal soldiers to find out Andy's immortality is gone. Booker and Andy are drugged unconscious. Copley feels bad about the situation and asks Stephen to leave Andy. Stephen's soldiers knocks down Copley and takes away Andy and Booker. Next, we see Niall ditching the car, and realizes the pistol was empty. This pistol was given to Andy by Booker. Knowing Andy is in danger, she rushed to Copley's house. Niall reaches Copley's house, where Copley realizes she is the new one. Copley feels now that Merrick is wrong, and wants to help. Copley shows all the evidence of how long Andy and the team has been doing good for the humanity, saving millions of lives for a long time. And he just have the records of past 150 years. And there is more. Niall and Copley leave for Merrick Tower to save everybody. Niall stops Copley to accompany her and she goes alone. On the 15th floor, as elevator opens, Merrick's soldier shoots her down. On coming closer to Niall, Niall wakes up and shoots 3 men down. Keen, who is the head of Merrick's soldiers, is watching through CCTV. Realizes she is the new one, commands his men to go after her. Niall reaches the chamber, where she sees the team. Seeing her, a lab doctor tries to drug her, but she knocks down the doctor and frees them all. Everyone is happy to see Niall, and load themselves up with the weapons to finish Merrick. Team is covering Andy and moving, shooting everyone they encounter. Suddenly a loud blast is set by Keen. Joe and Nikki are separated from the group by a blast, unconscious for a while. Keen starts hitting them as they come conscious, and shoots Nikki in the face. On the other side, Andy is slaughtering men with an axe. Nikki wakes up and the team gets together and go for Merrick to his penthouse, where Keen and his men are pointing the gun at the main door. Joe comes through the window by rope, shooting, surprising them all. Andy blasts the main door with a grenade and starts shooting. Keen is shocked. Andy and Niall come in blasting and kills all the soldiers. Joe is having a fist fight with Keen, and breaks Keen's neck for shooting Nikki. Nikki and Booker come in and sees the elevator going down. Thinking Merrick is in the elevator, Nikki, Booker and Joe rushes after the elevator. Suddenly, Steve and Merrick enters with a gun pointing at Andy. Niall points at Merrick. Andy gives a hint on Russian to Niall. Niall shoots a blank on Andy. Merrick shoots Niall in the heat of moment, and Andy smartly takes the blade and hit in Merrick's shoulder. Merrick is shocked and still has a gun in his hand. So Niall took Merrick and jumped from the building, saving Andy. Later, everything settled, the team decides to abandon Booker for 100 years for what he did, and will meet at the same point after the completion. Booker says to Andy, "So I will never see you again," to which Andy replies, "Have a little faith, Book." Near to the end of movie, Copley shows the results of all the good Andy and her team has brought in the world. They come to an agreement that Mr. Copley will remove every trace of them from the records and help them find next missions. At the end of the movie, we see Booker drunk in Paris, entering his apartment where, to our surprise, Quinn is waiting. Quinn, who was under ocean for over 500 years. Thanks for watching, and for more videos, please subscribe and push the like button if you liked the video. See you in the next. Bye bye.